I wasn't here for Project Rise, but I would have probably been a part of that program had I been. And it is not fair for our children, and it is not fair for the future of Charles City and the residents here. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Hunter Kother and I'm a 2017 alumni. I was not always the kindest to these speakers sitting around. I'll be the first to admit. But they never gave up on me. They let me come back each time better than before. And when I wanted to quit band, Mr. Gaffin put a tenor saxophone, gave it to me and said, why don't you try this instead? And that was one of the saving graces of my senior year of high school. And I wasn't in Project Rise or anything, but I did go to Capri's a lot just to sit and de-stress and to take a break from life. And it helped me pass my math class. So I also went through 3 different music teachers while being here. And I can say that Mr. Sherman was the best I had. He never, sorry, I'm nervous. He never made me feel out of place being there. And he was always very accepting. I'm also on behalf on here of my sister. She couldn't make it today, but she would say the same thing about these people. So that's about all I have.
Serena Schmidt and Emily Garden on deck, and then Sean Swiper. Yeah.
Well, hi. I too am not great at public speaking. I have already picked off most of my fake nails because I'm so nervous. But I'm just here for more examples of like how the music department helps our students. I recognize so many faces in here. All of us have been in, my God, all of the fine arts you could think of, whether it be band, orchestra, choir, drama, speech. We were also in all of the sports you could be in. FCCLA, FFA, we all held 1 or 2 jobs while also dealing with all of our family crises behind the scenes, having anxiety and depression behind the scenes as well. We love that for us. But we all managed to do all of that, have our jobs, have our activities while also having good school grades. And for me, I can chalk that up to being in music, especially Mr. Martin. God bless his soul. If he was here, he'd probably kick a door down, throw a chair and a child. For everything. You need to be afraid of him. So afraid, but you also loved him so much. Like if you came in the room and you had a practice, you just don't make eye contact with him. I'm ready for my lesson. And you just learned to be better behaved because of him. And because of Mrs. Western as well, like all of our teachers, music teachers especially, that just made a big difference in my life. They made me who I am. They made me feel comfortable where I was. They made me feel like I had so many friends too. Is because of those music programs. I'm such an odd child, and I still am. I accept it. That it was a little more difficult to make friends, but music made it a lot easier because I found that us musical kids are kind of odd. I think. Wouldn't you agree? I think we're kind of weird, but in such a great way that we come together so easily. So I think it's just because of that program, you can bring so many great souls together. And together we do amazing things. And especially you see all these studies coming out where music contributes greatly to your memory. When people who are playing throughout their lifespans, how it improves their brain function later on. And studies have shown that you are less likely to develop Alzheimer's if you are playing an instrument. So I think that's wonderful. Let's maybe consider that. I just think music is a huge part of students' lives. And I know we're worried about enrollment right now, but you should really be worried about enrollment if you cut the music programs, because I know for myself that when I have a family, it's hard enough to want to come back here because I feel like I might not have a job in a small town. But if they didn't have music here, I certainly wouldn't bring my children back. I want a music program for my kids, and if it's not here, I won't be going here. So just consider that if you cut this program, cut these teachers' jobs, you will have less students then. Thank you.
Clifford's next, and then Reverend Tom Varner.
Hi, I'm Emily Garden. I'm a 2013 Charles City High School grad and University grad and working on my master's. I have never been accused of being quiet or not strong-willed, which is whatever, you know what, you just gotta embrace it at some point. I love that. And I will never forget, you never tell him this. Jake Gassman docked me 3 points on my senior recital because I wore color polka dotted black shoes and they were not all black and he told us to wear all black and I'm still mad about it. But it taught me a really important lesson and that was that sometimes you just have to follow the rules in those moments. And it was hard, but it was important. And again, I'll never forget it, but it's fine. And Harvey made me bring a pencil to class every freaking day. And every boss I've had since then, I've never had to ask them for a pen because I show up with a pen everywhere. And I have 5 extras in my backpack because of you. It's over there, I can prove it. So even though I have not been taught by 2/3 of this music staff, and even though I didn't get the chance to participate in Project Rise, but like, damn, yes, that's awesome. I can't imagine where I would be without them. Not just the music skills, which I still use most weekends. Play a lot of music still, love it, play with my parents, play with my siblings. But just the basic things that they taught me that made a huge difference in my life that maybe they thought were not even that important, but I won't chew gum in front of my boss even, because my God, you would have killed me. So I know y'all have a tough decision to make. I'm not acknowledging that. I'm not trying to tell you the numbers aren't the numbers, but I too just encourage you to take a little bit more time, put a little bit more information out, be a little bit more transparent with it so that for those of us who are concerned, that we have a little bit more understanding for the process. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sean Soifer, 257-9699. I have 6 kids in the school district. I have 4 that are involved in chorus, orchestra, band, jazz band, marching band. I myself was in band and choir when I was in high school, so that's what caught my attention with the proposed budget cuts was the idea of eliminating 2 of the music teacher program. Music program teachers. There's a wealth of data showing that there's a strong correlation participation in music programs and overall test scores. Now, it's uncertain whether that's causal or coincidental, whether being in music actually helps students in their academic studies, or whether the extra commitment on the parents' part with lessons, instruments, the concerts causes them to become more engaged in their students' activities. But the correlation is there. And despite my personal bias and the data showing the impact that music can have, at the end of the day, it is an elective program. Cuts have to be made. It's a hard decision. I do not envy you. Thank you for your time tonight. I know this is probably longer than your usual meeting. Thank you for the commitment you give to school throughout the year. But I would ask, even though music is an elective program and therefore doesn't have the same weight as the core education programs, still, teachers are the most critical part of our school. I know there's a million and one things that go on behind the scenes that allow our schools to run the way they do. And I know that it's a huge burden placed on the administrative staff. But is there room to make additional adjustments there before turning towards our teachers? And even though it's an elective program, with such a small program, 6 teachers across all 4 schools, all the different disciplines, it seems like it will be an disproportionate weight put on the music program to make cuts there.
Good evening. I'm Reverend Tom Barnard. I'm pastor of Trinity United Methodist Church here in Charles City. I live on Second Avenue. I rise to speak about the proposed elimination of 3 of the instructional positions that you're talking about. 2 in music and 1 in the gifted and talented, which I believe is the RISE program. Let me give you a brief summary of my education and experience. I have a combined instrumental and vocal BA from the University of Wisconsin. I have a BS in labor economics from the University of Wisconsin. I hold advanced degrees in theology and divinity from Wesley Theological in Washington, D.C. I served several years as vice chair of the school board in a community about the size of Charles City. I tell you these things not to build myself up, but to tell you that my presentation comes not from emotions, but from knowledge and from experience. Because I've held your position. I will tell you that I know that it's the hardest position in local government. You have to make the hardest decisions of anyone else of anyone in local government, because you, in fact, chart the course of the next generation and the next 2 generations here in Charles City, and you chart the course of this community. I bow to your commitment to be on the school board. This past Saturday night, Trinity United Methodist Church, we hosted a Christmas event that was attended by about 400 individuals. We sat comfortably and with much space to spare. The entertainment was provided by the Charles City High School Music Department. 3 of the music teachers performed as well as 1 of your choirs. The program was the best high school presentation, and I taught high school, was the best high school choir presentation I have ever witnessed. It was better than most college presentations of the same type. The music department is built on a feeder program from grade school to middle school programs. Without teachers in both of those areas, the music program in the high school will tank in probably 2 years. The proposed cuts are in the middle school area. Will put additional pressure on the high school personnel to pick up those instructional duties. It will not happen, as there is not enough time available for high school teachers to give lessons, form ensembles, and pick up the workload of middle and grade school position teachers. It is an impossible task for the few instructors that will be left to hold down the program. What will happen is that the outstanding personnel you have now teaching here in the high school will leave. They will leave because of the impossible task handed to them. And within 2 years, I have 30 seconds left. I may go beyond that, so I ask for the suspension of the rules to finish what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes, we would have to vote on that.
we'll leave.
All right, vote on it. Just go ahead.
Okay.
Look at you.
Will leave because of the impossible task that's handed to him, and within 2 years, the current program of excellence will have vanished. I realize that an auditorium, and Bruce, I'm not talking against the auditorium, by the way. I realize an auditorium will be used for more than just music programs, but I do know that the major use of the new auditorium, if built, will be for music programs. The teachers the program with the teachers that I suggest you need to look at closely. Certainly the $8 million that is being put through the referendum, the additional $4 million that will be required to be raised by the community privately needs to be looked at. Once you start gutting the fine arts department or the fine arts program, your need for an auditorium will decrease substantially. Psychologically, emotionally, and educationally, it is critical to provide an outlet for fine arts, just like you provide the terrific outlet with sports, with a sports complex, track, and sports of all kinds. The arts and music are life skills that need to be nurtured at least at the same level as the sports program. I also want to talk just briefly, ask you to think twice about cutting the gifted and the talent program instruction. Most of those monies for that program come from federal block grants. That should not be a budget issue, but instead a disabilities issue, as gifted and talented comes from Title IX and is considered a disability. If we don't challenge and instruct our best and our brightest, we are saying to our youth, what are we saying to our youth and our community? Gifted and talented is just as important as calculus, physics, applied chemistry, and economics. These are the future leaders in all of our fields of life. Please don't shortchange them. I'm very appreciative of having the opportunity to speak before you. God bless you.
And then Audrey Sandhart, leave it in, I missed it. You can find that. And then William.
Hello, all. My name is Renee Harris. Thank you for your time tonight. I'm here to share a reason why I think it's important that all of us be heard tonight, and to call on all of you to stand behind your teachers, your children, and your community as you stood behind me when I was a student here. I graduated in 2014 and I was in orchestra. Nancy Western was my orchestra teacher, and Gene Martin was my mentor, if you will. He gave me lessons, and my name is on a plaque in the orchestra room saying that I won the Dean and Jan Martin Award. So a little bit about why I want to talk today, and my story is I was in the system. I aged out of the system at 18, and a number of the faculty and music department were instrumental in my success today. I work as a DA advocate for Crisis Intervention Service, which stands for domestic abuse, and I'm a mobile crisis responder, part-time, dealing with things with mental health. I think Project Rise is awesome. Although I wasn't a part of that, I would have fallen into that category under at-risk youth. I should have been a statistic. I shouldn't be standing here. I maybe should be in jail, addicted to drugs, pregnant, all sorts of different things, which not that pregnancy is a problem, but just to get what I'm saying. So all of these things, I should have been a statistic, and it wasn't for Nancy Western telling me to make good choices. And Pat, you helped me fill out an application for the Piccolo Ladies Music Man Scholarship. And I went on to get a 2-year degree at NIAC, and numerous other teachers that had donated for me to get a violin to continue my music wishes in at NIAC. I wouldn't be standing here and being able to talk to all of you. So that's why this is important to me. And again, I just urge you all to stand behind these teachers and students and this faculty like you stood behind me. Thank you.
William and then Maria after this lady. You're good.
Oh, you want me to bring it up?
This is an emergency decision. Am I hearing this? Why will we just inform that this problem exists? It's not fair. It's not fair to you. You have not had the time to each of you delve into what some of the solutions for this problem can be. You've heard what they can be, but you are responsible for the bottom line. We all know that. But the cuts between there are what hurts us. Don't take your positions lightly. The public can continue to live in a community carrying debt. They can exist divided because of these feelings that come around, and you don't mess with their kids. The performing arts encourage hearts, as you have heard. Charles City has no shortage of sex offenders. Just read the paper. And I'm ashamed to see some of the times that they don't get anything for their things that they've done and how much it has affected their lives. You just don't know. You've heard of one tonight. Those are things that we don't want to hear about happening in our community. But believe me, we know they do. There is healing in music, as you heard tonight. Kids need to feel like they matter. They can do things, sing, dance. They participate 100% when they join. They do not have to play first chair. They don't have to sit on the bench when they don't play well enough to get on the field because the teams have to win. There is absolutely something that can be done. I think that you should delve into what other schools have done when they've had the same problems. It was said that the music are the programs that they first want to cut. Yeah, I remember when they wanted to cut it before, because my daughter is a middle school choir director in Houston, Texas. And she wrote an article in the paper, a letter to the editor. And she indicated that it was a big part of her. She had Mr. Martin, and he used to give her his car to drive home to get her violin if she forgot it. Now, what kind of a teacher was he? We don't have, all teachers are not like that. And it is absolutely crucial that we keep this spirit going. If you don't have any music program, I disagree with some of the things that I've heard. I don't think you have any reason to build the public for a $27 million building. Think about it. You're not going to get support on both things. And I appreciate Dr. Schroep, who stands up for the public. I don't know how many of you have forgotten that you were elected into your positions. It's not like the Supreme Court justices who won't die here. But you could be replaced. I'm just saying, that I think it's encouraging that this man, who I respect so much, and you all should, that he has a right to speak his piece, because the piece he's speaking is for his constituents. Thank you for your time.
And then Maria, after William, and then Allison Hawkins.
I will. No problem.
Martin.
Hi, my name is William Wilson. I'd like to share a story, actually. There was this kid I knew in 8th grade. He hated the world, to be honest. He was trouble to everyone. He fought many people, got in school suspension a lot of times. He was in choir because his mom forced him to. He really hated it for such a long time. He was even forced to be in choir until high school. But there was this one time in 8th grade where he got talked to by Derek Sturdivant about how his actions were going to affect his life, and he was going to be making those decisions very soon. That kid was me. He and actually all the people around right here, even I wasn't in orchestra or band, but I vividly remember talking to both Nauman and Gassman about many things and them teaching me and being such a great influence on my life. They are our family. And I don't understand why we're actually even standing here, because we've been preached about family this whole time as students. We've been preached about how family is all that matters here, and we have the importance. And we stand around here as a family in front of you guys who want to take away our family. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't see where it comes from. I can see that we need to make budget cuts. It's fairly obvious. But there's many places that can be made budget cuts that aren't impacting most of the students around us. My little sister has gone through so much in her time, and the people right here and the people right there, Mr. Caffrey, Mrs. Sickman, I don't even know them, but I have to thank them for what they've done for my sister. Yeah, I think that there's many places that we can make budget cuts. Most people won't like that I say this, but our sports kind of suck. They really do. And our fine arts department has been thriving. We've had many theater, many plays that have gotten awards. Many people also go to All-State for those as well. And I can't see why we would take away these people who are bringing those people there and helping all of us. Thank you.
Audience, should I just start with Maria Ray, parent, staff. Been staff member here 6 years, taught her and the concession stands. Okay. I'm gonna start backwards from what I started here. Telling us that the leaders, Caffrey, Sigmund, who are working on building such compassionate community members in these young ones should either go or take a pay cut. No, that's not a reasonable thing to do. Caffrey, who also works with the juvenile as juvenile liaison, is one of the reasons, along with my son's probation officer, why my child is thriving. Because yes, my child has been in trouble, but now because of Caffrey, always on his derriere, he is one of the main reasons why my child is who he is now. Now, to tell parents that need to cut the music department, make a cut in the music, not the cut music department in general, that's still like telling a fish should not swim in water. Okay. Renee Boss worked with my son, Aries, who is autistic, who at times could not express himself except for music. And he would come home and all he would talk about, besides his amazing teachers, was Miss Boss this, Miss Boss that, we did this, we did that, it was this music, that music. You know what amazingness that is to hear how much he enjoys music? To this day, if you were to go in my house, all you hear is music coming from his room. Polar Express to be. And then, like I said, I have 4 children in the district. Aries, the oldest one. I have 3 boys, 1 girl. My youngest is in elementary, 10 years old. And even at 10, she absolutely loves music. And is already singing her little heart out. We've gone to concerts to watch her brothers. And goes up to Derek and says, hey, what can I do to make my singing better? He already giving her pointers. Really? Do you want to make cuts to her? He's already, even though she's not one of his students yet. Okay. Back to Sturdivant. Derek is amazing in so many levels. He cares for the children more than he cares for himself. Teaches them so much. Derek is one of the few reasons my boys would come to school, because they wanted to go to class, to go sing. That's like the main reason they choose to go to class, is to sing. They're athletes, cross country, they are soccer, they tried wrestling. And even at that, they prefer their music department. And to make cuts in the music department and not sports, that's kind of not equal in my eyes. And I myself, as a person who's always with the sports department, doing the concession stand, I myself cannot stand with a district that does not value music as an equal to sports. And for that, while I am here, I am resigning from my position effective immediately.
Every single day. That is.
Hi, I'm Allison Hawking. 33, no, wait, that's not my number. 220-4839. I think that's it. I am I would say graduate of Charles City High School. I am a product of the Charles City Music Department, yet the Charles City School District failed me. When I was in middle school, I was one of those kids who fell through the cracks. I was one of those kids that general education didn't fit. I hated it. My anxiety was sky high and I couldn't function. And it got so bad, I asked my parents to send me to Ohio to live with the aunt because I knew I could go to a private school there. And so every day I was going down to the office, I was visiting counselors, I was saying, hey, can I go home? I just don't feel good. And the office response was always, just go back to class, you're fine, Allison. You're fine. You are fine. I wasn't fine. But then I went down to music. Music has been in my heart and my soul since I was in the womb, I think. But I found my music instructors. I went to the choir room. And so I got out. I begged, I pleaded, and I bailed and said, find me a different solution. But I stayed connected because music drew me back. And so I'm speaking on behalf of those students who are the dual enrolled, who are the non-traditionals, who are the homeschooled kids, who find the kids who go out and go somewhere else because this learning structure doesn't fit them. But music draws them in. And those activities bring them back. I spent hours, because my rides were different, spent hours in Mrs. Berglund's choir room just doing my own homework because I was not venturing out into those circles. They were a dangerous place to be. But I could feel safe and secure in that music room. When you talk about cuts and you talk about things that are necessary, there are two kinds of cuts in my worldview. There are the cuts that help prune and things return from them. The world of gardening, you cut something back and it returns. It's the world of hair cutting. You cut it back, your hair generally grows back. Sorry. But then there are the cuts that never return. Okay, there are those cuts made of stone. You can never put that back. There are the cuts made into wood that is never coming back to its original form. When you cut the music department, as we've seen, because when I was a kid, we had a music teacher in every elementary school. We had a different music teacher in the middle school. We had several music teachers in the high school. That's not the case anymore. Because when you make cuts in those departments that are seen as extra, there's no coming back. They don't, you can talk a nice game of, as soon as we have the funds, we'll return that program. That never happens. But you know what? If you cut in areas, if you trim off a little bit of the excess, new growth happens in certain areas. If you trim in areas of administration, you bet your bottom dollar, as soon as that money can start coming back, you're replacing that. It can also lead to health. When you trim in the right areas, you grow new things. It doesn't kill, but it flourishes. So I urge you, as you think through cuts, are you making the drastic permanent ones that will never return? Or are you making those which can prune and shape this district in the direction it needs to go in? Thank you.
And Kaden, you're next.
Hey, my name's Josh Dean. I've been living here for like 20 years. So most of you probably know me. This, I've just been thinking like, this reminds me of a funeral, right? Like, not because of what you think, but because of when you go to a funeral, everybody sits around and talks about how much they love the person and how sweet it was. And it's like, man, it is so nice to connect. Like, and that's what we're doing here, right? Like, look around. I have been here for 20 years working with alternative education students. So like, I kind of consider myself maybe, if not the most knowledgeable on that subject in this district, I'm pretty damn close, right? And one thing I will tell you is there's like about 3 places in our district for middle school and high school at-risk kids to go. I think you've kind of heard it already, so I don't have to spend a whole lot of time talking about it, but our at-risk kids go to these people, the music department, when they have a problem. They go to those people that are running this right here. And they go to Flex or Kerry Lane. Like that's, there may be a pocket or 2 here and there, but that's where you are mostly with our at-risk kids. And there's a lot of them here. God love this town. I love it here, but we are busy, right? And if we cut these positions, our at-risk kids are not going to have a place to go. All right. And bottom dollar for you guys who, like, some people are really analytical. I can tell you that if this happens, your graduation rate is going to go down. If it goes down, lose students in the district. Lose students in the district, we have another funeral next year. And I do not want to do this again. Like, I love all you guys. Lady, I love you, lady. I see you. I didn't know you were here. I mean, it's just, there's just hundreds of them. Look at these kids, beautiful. Like, it's just beautiful. So, like, seriously, I just implore you, like, to think about that. We gotta make sure we do what's best here. All right.
A lot of you guys might not know me, but my name is Caden Courtney. I graduated in 2019. I'm going to stand away from this mic because you might remember I knocked it down. Yeah, I kind of was in everything. And that was a little later on in my life. I became more involved, but I came from a bad home. I had a stepfather who abused me and my family as I was growing up, and I had a dad who didn't want me. So I moved in with my grandparents when I first came here as a freshman. Gosh, this is hard. I hate talking to people. I really do. But they took care of me, taught me how to be a man. And then I met that dude and that dude. And we became the Trace Amigos. And I am so proud of all these kids. This is crazy. I did not think that this would become what it was. But I also want to say, I didn't think this is what I'd be coming back to. I didn't think this is what I'd be coming home to. These kids work hard. Harder than I do every day. This is crazy. It went from, what, 3 of us? To now 180 kids impacted. It's pretty obvious this isn't gonna happen, right? This can't happen. Scott Jensen over there just informed me, because nobody took it by the state. If you cut this man, take his money down, he will still lose his job. Because it's a partnership between the high school and the state. So he is gone, no matter the option. Now I'm going to a little lighter topic. Sorry. This is Derek Bergman. When I was a freshman, Bradley Beal was my music teacher, and like Hunter Coulter said, we lost it. This guy. And I was I was very off-putting at first. I had a really hard problem trusting guys, obviously, right? But I had Servant, and I messed with it a lot. Pulled his strength a lot. But he put up with me a lot. Like I said, I didn't get along with people. I really didn't, but he forced me. Now I kind of have friends. I made friends when I was in choir. They're hiding back there, actually, John Perez. I see you. But needless to say, this is a whole community here. You can't do this. It's not gonna happen. There's no way. I pray. There's no way. We just can't. That's all I have to say, I guess. There's no way you can do it.
We're gonna take a recess for 10 minutes. Because there might be a little bad. We have one more person that would like to speak, and I need to read a letter that was submitted. So, Dave, would like to speak.
Oh, let's see, Richard Tucker. Okay, hi, for those of you who don't know me, I am a slick, even though I see a lot of familiar faces. Hi, Chris. Anyways, I am in the music department. Right now I'm currently in choir. I'm a tenor. And next semester I will be joining orchestra and hopefully playing the cello. I was in drama for a little bit in middle school, and that was really, really fun for me. And I got to experience a lot of fun things to do. And I got to talk to a lot of people who I normally would not talk to because they were really different from me. And I was really scared to talk to a lot of new people. Like for example, if I didn't join choir, I probably would have to talk to Anders, who's a really amazing person. And if I wasn't, and if I didn't go to a speech improv meeting, I probably want to talk to Katie, who is also a really nice person. And just a lot of people in the choir in any music department program are extremely nice people, and we should not cut them out because a lot of those people may not want to do sports. For me, for example, I hate sports, and I'm not an athletic person at all. So if we cut the choir program or any music department program, they have nowhere to go because that is their personal interest. And personally, if we did not have the music department, I probably would not be here right now, let alone in this school or possibly even alive. I had a lot of mental health issues and I'm still struggling through those issues right now. And Mrs. Dean actually helped me through a lot of those issues because she inspired me to go through music. And Mr. Sturdivant is actually inspired me to go do solos and double duets right now at concerts. And I'm really scared to do this actually, but I know they're going to be a lot of fun and I'm going to experience a lot of those fun things simply because I'm in this program. I'm grown up in a family who loves music, even though they're not the best singers, to be honest. And my little sister, who is also in choir right now, she loves music. She talks about it all the time, saying, "Oh, Mrs. Dean is teaching us this. We're singing this, and I'm really excited to perform it. I want to do solos. I can't wait to be in Mr. Sturdivant's class." And I want her to be able to experience this, and I don't want the program to change. If it changes, then I'm probably going to move to Perry Lane because I don't like how this school is built. Because if it wasn't for the program, then I would not be in the school district and possibly not even in Charles City. Because I just don't like how it's built. I was bullied through middle school, through elementary school, and I'm still currently being bullied. And I've reported it, and they're not doing anything for it, to the point that I have to handle it myself, and that's a lot of pressure. And my sister is also currently being bullied simply because we don't fit into society's standards. I mean, I'm really dressed in extremely ripped pants right now. But the music department accepts anybody who wants to join. If you see the choir, there's multiple diversity of groups in there. There are people who fit into the normal standards of society and people who don't. I have 30 seconds left, but I'm just saying that we should not cut this because people need a place to go so they have a safe place to be. Thank you.
I'm going to read a letter that was submitted for reading at the board meeting tonight. Hello, Charles City School Board. My name is Phoenix Lara. I am a 2022 graduate of Charles City High School, and Mr. Sturdivant and Mr. Gassman taught me throughout the entirety of my high school career. I am currently a music major at the University of Iowa, and I don't think I would have made that choice had it not been for the way that both Mr. Sturdivant and Mr. Gassman impacted my musical and personal life throughout high school. For starters, Mr. Sturdivant is the whole reason I decided to stay in choir. I remember not wanting to continue choir once I got into high school. This is because watching the high school choir perform when I was younger, I always felt like I would never be good enough to sing in a group like that. However, once I joined freshman year, I realized that they always sounded so good because Mr. Sturdivant would help them. On one hand, I understand that that is his job, but he also did it in a way that not just anyone can achieve. He never taught with an iron fist, only with compassion and empathy, and students would listen because they knew he only wanted what was best for them. There were kids that didn't care much for choir that would still come in and put in the work every day because they would build a connection with Mr. Sturdivant, and that made them realize, hey, this guy cares, and he does. He cares so much. It was because of him that I decided to stay in choir. I also had so many positive experiences with drama and jazz choir because of Mr. Sturdivant. I remember wanting to be part of the drama department in my freshman year, but not completely knowing how because I'm not really one that to get on stage and perform like that. But Mr. Sturdivant encouraged me to play in the pit for the musical. I ended up actually asking if I could do that for the next 3 years. He also gave me the chance to expand my singing skills through jazz choir, which I again didn't have the confidence for originally. But like always, he worked with me and helped me understand that I was better than I gave myself credit for. He gave me opportunities that I didn't even know were there, and I will continuously be so grateful for that. That being said, without Mr. Sturdivant, incoming students will not have these same opportunities. This would be a major loss for the music department and take away a major piece of growth for prospective music students in the future. Mr. Gassman also played a huge role in building my musical confidence. I remember coming into high school and having little to no belief in myself and my musical abilities. However, throughout the years, Mr. Gassman continued to encourage me and teach me to believe in my playing skills. He also taught in a way that provided me with the confidence I needed to do things like audition for Allstate. He also is the only reason I was able to pick up another instrument, the saxophone, since he's the one that asked me to join jazz band my freshman year. I would have never considered it without him, but thanks to him, I've learned that I truly enjoy jazz music and playing the saxophone. It also gave me the opportunity to play sax for the musicals. Jazz band is another aspect that would be lost without him. He would also always be willing to spend extra time with me to work on things such as music theory before I went into college. And I think that helped tremendously when I got there. Thanks to his willingness, he put in the extra work. To put in the extra work, I was able to keep up with my peers during this past semester, and I don't think that would have been the case without him. And on the non-academic side, Mr. Gassman was the first teacher I came out to. When I decided to start going by my real name in my senior year, I knew I wanted Mr. Gassman to be the first teacher to know. I have always felt heard and supported by him, and I never thought twice about telling him. He gives many students that type of safety and comfort. This kind of energy doesn't come easy, and you can't find it in just anyone. I think cutting him would be a major loss and risk the possibility of taking away a unique safe space for many students. Please think again before cutting these amazing additions to your staff. They provide so much for the students, and losing them would be detrimental to both the educational and emotional values of the school. Thank you for your time. Phoenix, Laura. So at this point, we're closing out. Do you have something you would like to say? Okay.
Dean Andrews, as long as I've been mayor of Charles City. And I just don't, you people know a lot more about what's going on in this situation than we do, myself included. But you can tell from the passion that was expressed tonight that I hope that you consider not voting on this tonight and continuing to hear comment before you make a decision. Thank you.
Is there anybody else? Okay. Come on, hurry.
Hi, my name is Susan Kruger, and I'm a 2020 Charles City graduate. And I have been in choir for 11 years of my life, over a decade. If it wasn't for choir, I wouldn't be in the CC Singers. I would have quit music. I would have doing what I love. Choir is like a safe spot for me and so many other people. I have had Mrs. Dean, I have had Sturdivant, and they both were amazing teachers. And they both have a special spot in my heart. And when I heard that they could be losing their jobs, I got as emotional as I am today because of how impactful they are on all these students' lives. Mine especially.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Brady Garden, 2014 alumni. So this year I had the opportunity to volunteer coach football, and it was just incredible getting to work with some of these students. And just trying to keep my thoughts straight here. But one thing that Josh Dean didn't touch on, that I think is one of the most important things that he taught us this year in football, is everything you're doing impacts your legacy. And I think back to when I was in school, when he talks about that, and try to figure out what my legacy is now because of that. You know, I think of my time in band, obviously, that's why we're here, is talking about band and music. You know, I played trumpet and I was not very good. I tried to make it good, it didn't work. But then Gaston stepped in. And he told me, hey, try tuba out. And I think that was kind of good. But no, it just the way that these teachers has impacted me as an individual, whether it's in lesson time, whether it's in full band time, it's that individual time that we get together. I got to impact some of these students that same way this year, and it was just incredible getting to see how these students are growing. But we can't do that. Like, we can't just be a coach standing there on the sideline yelling at all these students. It's the individual time that comes with them. You know, it's that time with the band director sitting there in lessons talking about a little bit more than just band. You know, I hope that someday these kids can all look back, you know, Ryder, pay attention. You know, some of these kids can look back 10 years from now, or 8 years in my case, but whatever, and look back, and hopefully I can impact their legacy a little bit the way that Jay Gassman, Tara Dean, and Pat, how all you guys impacted my legacy, and what drives me to want to come home and help coach football and buy into the family business and just be here as long as possible. Yeah, that's what I got.
Hi, I'm Caroline Hedrick. I wasn't originally going to speak because I didn't think that I had anything worth saying. And then I remembered my younger brother who has a learning disability. And Mr. Gassman took the time to teach him how to play trombone. And it breaks my heart because both he and I were students that slipped through the cracks. We don't really get normal math. We don't get STEM. I didn't have the luxury of having Mr. Steuben, but I was in the Wizard of Oz, so I did get to kind of interact, and I love your teaching abilities. But I remember Brad Beal, my senior year, I'm a 2015 graduate, and I didn't understand math. In general, I failed twice, and it was an issue. But I was able to ask him, because even though they are music teachers, they are still teachers. They still understand how to teach students. So I could ask the questions that I had in a way, and they would teach me in a way that my math teachers couldn't. And I just really appreciate that. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
My name is Cameron Haft, and I am a Charles City Middle School 8th grader. Next year I will be in high school, and I participate in jazz choir, orchestra, and drama. I love doing fine arts, and I will say I've made connections with almost all of the fine arts teachers. And without them, I would not have been able to go to the 3 honors orchestras that I have been able to do since 7th grade. And I've made connections with most of them through those, and I made friends at those honors orchestras, and I got to connect with people I wouldn't have from other schools. I also made connections with people that I would not have normally from my grade because of the social divides that I find there. I was approached by Mr. Schudevant earlier this year about joining jazz choir because I had auditioned for it last year. And none of us had gotten accepted as eighth graders because there are very few openings. And so he approached me and asked me if I still wanted to be in jazz choir, and I told him yes. And I was very nervous at first because I thought I might be out of place because there were no other eighth graders there, but everyone in jazz choir made me feel very welcome, and so did Mr. Thank you for your time.
My name is Ryder Beaver. I'm a 10th grader. So these people over here in the green shirts, their stories would honestly probably make some of you lay on the floor and cry. Like, they have been through the worst things I've ever heard of in my life. And then Caffrey and Sickman have talked to them, have helped them find ways to solve their issues and my own issues that I've had. I know Pat knows I got in a little trouble, especially in the high school hallway that one time. But they it's gonna be a roller coaster, especially with at-risk students, people that are struggling either in the classroom because of bullying, because of just not being able to fit in. Maybe it's their home life. They don't know how to deal with that stuff. It's gonna be a roller coaster, and Caffrey and Sigmund have given us ways to solve that through Project Rise and through just being through our side, even when maybe, hey, we fail a test, or hey, we just get in a little trouble. They'll be like, hey, work on it. Don't let it happen again, but you will be the best version of yourself as long as you push yourself. And they instill those characters in us every day and have made us way better people than we were when we met, before we met them. And all we can do is thank them.
And everybody who's here should be able to see 2 more.
I am Isaac Staff. I am a 7th grade Charles City Middle School student, and I feel that we are cutting an amazing course group. An amazing teacher that loves all of us and that loves anybody that walks in that room. And I just can't believe that after everything the teacher's done, this is how we plan to do this. And I love chorus. I sometimes may hate it, but
It's a love-hate relationship.
no matter what, I want to be in chorus. Mr. Sturdivant is helping me with my singing. And Mrs. Dean is helping all of us. With every student that goes into her classroom and that does like the music between 5th and 8th grade, or everybody loves her. Everybody just says amazing things about her. And I can't see chorus go. And that's it. I know that you guys probably want to be done too, because it's hot in here and stuff, but it's not about me. It's actually about my brother Antonio Ariastegui. I'm actually really nervous. I have public speaking next semester. Okay, my brother Antonio, he graduated 2020 or 2021. And he was in band. And do you remember Antonio? Antonio Arias.
I'm orchestra.
Well, I remember we used to be, Antonio has, I don't know if you want to be saying this, but it's fine. Antonio has Asperger's. And I remember for a really long time, like ever since he was diagnosed, my mom was always so scared. Like she was like, oh, I don't know if Antonio's gonna be okay. I don't know if Antonio's gonna make it in the real world. he was bullied all the time, and like we were scared he would never have a job, would never have any confidence. He was shy, he wouldn't talk to anybody, and he would kind of barely not even talk to us. But I remember we moved here when I was in middle school, and he signed up for band, and he was played like the tuba or something like that, the baritone. And it was when he signed up for that, Antonio just like started coming out of his shell. Like he talked to us, he talked to other people. He was in the marching band and he loved doing that. And oh my gosh, he would practice and practice in the room. And I had a room right next to him. And it was like this big. If it wasn't for you, and if it wasn't for the band, the music, Tonio would not be where he's at right now. Tonio would probably be shy, won't talk to anybody, and probably wouldn't be. He'd probably be living at home, like in the basement or something. So I want to thank you, Mr. Gassman, for letting my brother, become the person, like I don't know how I want to say this. I'm not even. But if it wasn't for you, Antonio wouldn't be where he's at now, and we would all be scared for him still. But thank you, Mr. Gassman, for everything.
I want to thank people for coming and expressing their opinions. We've had lots of emails, text messages, phone calls, everything like that. And so thank you. And we are going to continue on with the agenda part of their meeting. Okay. So the first thing is the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Pat. I'll give a short report and you have copies at your desk. What's going well? December 12th, 2022. I had the opportunity to ride along with Dave on his afternoon bus route recently. It was the Pink Bus. It was interesting, it was enjoyable, and it affirmed my respect for the role and the responsibilities of our transportation staff. Board President Pat Rottinghouse probably won't like me pointing this out, but she was honored recently at the Iowa Association of School Boards annual conference. She received an Individual Achievement Award in recognition for her completion of over 100 hours of professional learning in the past year. The Charles City High School Band, Orchestra, and Choir had their winter concert last week. As always, I was most impressed with the skills and the aptitude of our amazing students and staff. CCCSD hosted the Northeast Iowa, that was canceled due to snow day, late start. Erase that one. Chef John Sigurmia was on site last week. He's Japanese and he was working with our culinary students on a variety of Japanese foods. In addition, a number of students in all schools enjoyed a Japanese meal last Thursday. I purchased one myself. It was wonderful, and for many, it was their first exposure to this type of cuisine. The Charles City Press published a lengthy guest article by Board President Pat Rottinghouse last week, detailing the bond referendum. And I will add, as a side note, regardless of the struggles we're going through now, I do believe that an updated, at least a question on a ballot for an updated high school and an auditorium would be a very good thing to consider. I'm with Bruce on that one. The state dance team members of the high school spirit team performed at the Iowa State Dance and Drill Team Championship on November 30th. This marks the first time in 3 years our team has performed at the state level. The team earned a Division I rating in recognition of their skills. Finally, it's a pleasure to learn that Mr. Caffrey has received a grant of $6,500 from the support for the RISE program, which in spite of some comments, it will continue. We are not abandoning it. The funds will be used to support the food pantry with supplies.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Not from the finance, just- Anybody? Committee reports, finance.
I guess that's me.
That's your job.
So we had a lengthy conversation around a lot of the topics that were brought up this evening, so I think we'll continue that conversation as this agenda progresses.
Thank you. Board recognition of outstanding employee performance. Every month we we're fostering the theme of what's going well for the school year 2023, and each month the board recognizes employees who have been nominated by their peers for going above and beyond to exemplify Charles City Community Schools vision, mission, and values. I don't know if any of these people are here tonight, but I will read about them anyway. Ms. Clarissa Matthews, who is an instructional coach. Here now. Is an incredibly reliable person of resource for staff at Washington Elementary School. Clarissa has worked hard to set up, import, and export information from various digital resources for teachers. In addition, she was incredibly thorough with the scheduling, preparation, and promotion of the literacy event held at Washington Elementary School on November 10th. And from another person, it says, Clarissa has done some great things as a literacy instructional coach, including organizing a successful literacy night at Washington Elementary. Each student received a free book and took part in fun literacy activities. It was run so smoothly, and I saw many excited student faces. She consistently goes above and beyond for both students and teachers, from spending hours after school organizing literacy curriculum to helping run WIN groups in the elementary schools. Clarissa is leaving a positive impact on our school district. The next person we'd like to honor is Jennifer Satrio, I think. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. She's a health associate. She's always willing to help. She can be so busy sometimes, but always has a smile on her face. She's an amazing team player. Rick Lynch, who's support staff middle school. Rick helps students and staff on a daily basis, helping to create both a supportive and safe environment at Charles City Middle School. Rick responds to calls for assistance timely. He efficiently addresses needs as they arise and has strong communication with the office and teaching groups. Rick also goes above and beyond, helping the office in many ways. He will deliver items to students as he walks by the office. He will retrieve belongings for kids that are sick and need to go home. Offers to give breaks if we are covering the office solo, etc. Thank you. Rick is another person said, Rick is fully invested in our students, always looking out for their needs and success. He has spent many hours reflecting and reaching out to colleagues to better support students. Thank you, Rick. Danielle Peterson, who's a Spanish teacher at the high school. Is Danielle here? Okay, Danielle is a first-year teacher who has continually impressed me with her ability to engage students every day during class. She has developed many positive relationships with students, and they absolutely love and respect her. She has done a fantastic job. Sarah Downing, social studies teacher at the high school, is the last person. Sarah goes above and beyond to ensure all her students are learning in her classes. She accommodates the students and their needs. On top of being an excellent teacher, she is involved with student council as an advisor and helped with prom last spring. So I just want to thank all these teachers for going above and beyond, and that's what's going well. Okay, so number 10 is staff adjustments. And so we will review the 3 proposed staff adjustment plans and
if I can go ahead and add a few things for you, Pat. In response to several questions that many of you have had, I, as superintendent, recommended to the board my obligation to provide for a balanced budget. And so when we lose students, naturally that impacts our bottom line. So we have to cut back for the coming year. So when I noticed this was the case and we do our certified enrollment in October, I began meeting with our leadership team, which was directors and school principals. It was truly an exhaustive review. None of these recommendations were made frivolously or lightly. They were very somber meetings because truly these are very, very difficult decisions to make. The reason the directors and the principals were there because unlike some of us who might work in a department, those who supervise the buildings or the department have a system level picture. So this allows them to see all the moving parts and how they interact. So they might check and see what numbers of students are involved in which programs. Could we just trim up a bit and still provide good programs for the students? We wanted to make sure we were very, very careful not to take any programs away from students. So following this, what I'm calling an exhaustive review, we made apparent some of our decisions that we would be recommending to the board. And as a reminder, I work for the board at their pleasure. I have 5 bosses altogether, and I'm the only employee that the board has. I will say that I do have extensive knowledge and experience in systems, high reliable systems in schools. I'm 63 years old. I've been doing this my whole life. And I came out of retirement to help out in Charles City because I loved it. I just moved here. I just built a little house here. We used to live in Ankeny. And I wanted to be a part of the community. And I knew with my many years of experience, my multiple college degrees, my work at the National Laboratory, conducting and disseminating research, my work as the first national board certified teacher in the nation, that I could bring you something that would help. I received a Harvard Ash Award for turnaround schools in the state of Minnesota. And I worked as a superintendent on what was arguably the lowest achieving district in the state. And I increased their graduation rate by about 400%.
That's not.
And the truth of all of this is, I know what I'm doing. And I'm not taking it lightly. And I'm here because I care and I wanted to help. What was difficult is some of the mocking I'm seeing coming from the back of the room as I speak is hurtful. And when I reached out to the community and the staff, because I said, hey, I'm interested in your input. I've been in the schools, I've been as transparent as I could possibly be, and my only desire was to serve. I was met very often with rude comments on social media. Few people actually reached out to speak to me when all I said was just reach out to me. There were about 10 people that emailed me and I was able to respond to their thoughtful comments and to clarify for them. And to those 10 people, thank you. Because you were kind. The majority, however, were condescending and they were rude. And they didn't give me a chance to speak. And so what I'm saying to you is that that's a culture and a climate issue. And it not only transcends some of the people in this room, certainly not all of you, but it's also prevalent in our schools. We have serious issues with culture and climate, particularly in our middle school and our high school. And I have data that I can show you that will show that. But the good thing is we can turn that around and we can improve our culture and our climate. The other issue that I think is difficult to look at is our achievement. In almost every core area, we are below the state average. And that's heartbreaking to me, a person who loves Charles City and loves Floyd County, and came here because I wanted to live with you. I wanted to serve you. I wanted to be a part of it. And what's bothersome to me about that is that we're better than below average. You're bright, you're beautiful, your parents are engaged, your community supports this school district amazing.
Can you bring up statistics?
And the bad part of this is that as I look forward and I see criticism for leadership in academic programs that has been absent for about 10 years. It's been a steady downfall since friends like Doug Bankston and Shirley Kelly worked here, because I was executive director from 2001 to 2007 at the AEA. And when I was there, we used to go to Charles City because it was like a lighthouse. It was like a beacon, because we knew we were on top of it. And we knew we were getting things done. And when we had an issue or something new came down from the State Department, the AEA staff would reach out. We always called our leaders at Charles City. But sadly, since you've lost your academic focus through a system-wide effort, we cannot count on teachers to do that work independently because they're immersed within their own subject areas. The research is clear. So all of this to say, if we don't pay attention to academics, and if we don't wake up now and see that we need to make some changes, I'm fearful we might be down even more students. And if we don't make some tight efforts with the leadership of people like myself, Dr. Schilling, and our administrators to look at culture and climate in our buildings, I'm afraid we'll lose more students. And that's not what I want for Charles City. I know that if I made a suggestion that we cut another math teacher or ag program or art, we would fill this room with equally passionate individuals as you said. And we would have a lineup of students here at the front of the room telling the same type of wonderful stories that we heard tonight, because we have heart. But what we need to work on is we need to also work on academics. The reductions we proposed weren't cutting the music out of our schools. It was adjusting the size of the staff because it's a little bit larger than I think we can manage with. And they're your tax dollars that we're saving, that we can use to keep ourselves financially viable. So we look at the numbers of students in our classes. We look at the number of lessons we actually produce. We look at the number of students in our bands and we think, you know, we could keep all those same programs, adjust it a little bit, and we could still have it. We could still have it. I even heard one teacher say, hey, I kind of like to work on 712 because he felt excited about that, which I thought was pretty exciting too. So what I'm saying to you is it's time to think about more beyond than just the rise and just the music, both of which are amazing. It's time to look at your whole system. And I guess I would turn it back to you, Pat, to add whatever might be helpful.
I think, does anybody else have anything to say right now?
About this.
I guess I just want to say that this is a horribly difficult decision. No one on this board wants anything but what is best for kids and our community. Would you agree?
May I?
Yes, you may. Go ahead.
This is the first I've been involved in any of these discussions.
Yes.
And if you guys started this back in October, that's.
Well, no, the board wasn't involved in
This
that.
was our leadership.
I guess people need to understand that it is not up to the board to, the board approves, but it's not up to the board to decide what.
The recommendations are.
Yeah, the recommendation comes from the staff because.
What I would like to do is table this.
Okay, then you need to make a motion.
Yeah.
On the table this until we can have. Sit down and.
We have to have a date. If you table something, it has to have a date attached to it. You table it to January 9th, the next board meeting.
Yeah.
Just to make it.
Next, the table, the staff adjustment. Topic. Until January 9th.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to table the staff adjustments until January 9th. 2023. Is there any discussion?
This is Ronnie House. I just have a question, if I could.
I hope you will answer.
I'm not going to answer.
Oh, I know you will not answer our question.
For crazy, I just, when do you guys need to have a decision on all of this, one? And then two, I was trying to find financial documents for the school to see how things are being allocated. And I could have sworn that that's something that should be public and I couldn't find anything. Is there any way for us to see how allocations are being done so we can? see
It's
how-
on the website under the finance.
Okay. And
Under
then
that department.
question one on when is this supposed to be decided upon?
For the health of everyone, the sooner the better, in my opinion, but, well, if people need to look for a job, they need to know.
That's why we're doing it.
David, could I ask a question to you? Would you be willing to amend your motion to give us more time? So maybe the second meeting in January.
Yeah.
So I asked that you amend that, or you want me to make a different motion, or what you want to
So
say?
I'll just rescind the first one, and I'll make the table it to the second meeting.
So that date would be third of January. I second that motion.
Okay, so I don't know exactly how to say that. Or the second is. So we vote on that one. Okay, so we need a vote on the January 9th. No, first we need a vote because it was moved and seconded on the January 9th. So it's been moved and seconded to table the staff reduction adjustments to January 9th. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, say no.
No.
Okay. Motion fails. Give her the five.
All right, so I make a motion then to move the staff reduction.
I made a motion.
What, we can't make a motion when there's already a motion on the floor, so now he's.
January 23rd to review it.
Okay, it's been moved that we revisit staff adjustments on January 23rd. Table the staff adjustments to January 23rd. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion?
We have a conflict.
So, Charles City High School is hosting the State Jazz Festival that night. We were asked to host that. So I don't know if that's worth the state.
There's an exam for the youth.
Just toss that out.
I don't, that's just been our meetings.
What's that?
January 9th.
Adjusted meetings in the.
I want you aware that you're gonna have a lot of outside people coming
In this building.
Again.
in into the middle schools.
Yeah.
And if that affects things, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You need to be aware of that information.
You can change.
Now we have to vote on this now. Moved and seconded to, table these cuts and, or these staff adjustments till January 23rd. Discussion? No discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Passes January 23rd, 5.
23rd, everybody, we will be back.
Okay, so number 12. Me. Number 12 is modified supplemental amount.
I think it's like students of the 2023-24 average draft hour funding for modified supplemental amount of $425,651 that have been retained.
Been moved and seconded to approve the 2023-24 at-risk dropout request for a modified supplemental amount totaling $445,651 as recommended. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, say no. Our motion to approve the consent agenda. A second. Moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. So I need all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Any more comments?
It was great to see everybody come out and such a strong support for our programs. Thank you all for coming. It's really good to see you here.
I also would like to say, I received at least 30 informational letters from people, and they were all respectful, well-spoken, thoughtful, and I really appreciate it. And I'm amazed at the articulation of the students tonight. You guys are talented.
Thank you.
This is true.
And I would just like to thank all of the trying to think outside the box. We know this is not easy. We recognize, we value the community. It doesn't always feel that way because we're these random people sitting behind these tables. But we're community members too, and we hear you and we value you. And we know the positions that some of our administration are in are not easy, and we can hate them and we can be upset. And there's so many emotions. I mean, you can't even label all the emotions. And I think it's important to recognize too that the timing does feel rushed, and that's a valid feeling too. And so, you know, some of us may think, well, now we're pushing this off. Is this good? Is this bad? But it's still giving us time to process because we know process is important. It gives us time to really reflect, to consider all of the opinions from the community members, from teachers, from staff, and students. Your voices matter. It doesn't mean every voice is going to feel heard. And that's a legitimate feeling too. But at the end of the day, we are here to serve you. We want what's best for the students, our soon-to-be students, our current students, our former students. They are the generation that we're trying to show, hey, this one time at the school board when I was 16, I went there and it was this really weird thing, but like I spoke and it was nervous and I did it. That's a skill and that's a memory that's going to be with these students. And so this conversation isn't over. We don't know what proposals administration will bring to us. We hope that they continue to be creative. We hope they continue to think outside the box. Some of the proposals that they may bring to us again may be similar to what we're seeing tonight. That may be the reality too. We're going to be in a difficult position again, but we're going to take ownership. We're going to take leadership as the board, as the elected officials, like Timothy represented at the very beginning. We're going to try our best to serve all of you. Know that that's not going to feel like everyone gets heard equally, but we're going to do our best. So, thank you.
And we care about the students and we care about the faculty. So
I think we've just been wrong in the past.
That's fair.
Hurts. And we're taking it out of our own people. We've had a very strong time in my time, and I think we need a public statement saying when stuff comes down, we're trying to recoup. And I think we need.
sometimes we can't always get what we
I
need.
know, but
Very more.
we're working on it from practice, but most people aren't really figuring out. My aunt, thank you. My aunt.
Claire, all right.